Now, this bombing was carried out by a member and a sympathiser, as well as being members of the IRA. One was a member, the other was a sympathiser of a, sadly to quote, far-left group, Red Action. Now, what was interesting about that case is that the police later complained, and indeed there's some factual basis for this, that the video footage of these people planting a bomb in a dustbin outside Harrods, and also being seen in, they planted another bomb on a train which left Victoria to Kent, that film footage was suppressed for 33 days between the 20, and that is not conspiracy theory, that's a fact, in terms of the fact that the surveillance footage was evidently taken on the 28th of January 1993, and it only came out in early March 1993. Now, when it came out in early March 1993, the people who did it were instantly recognised. One of them, Patrick Hayes, had been the liaison of an anti-fascist organisation with Metropolitan Police, and even they managed to recognise him once they saw the footage. But the point that troubles me is that here we have a situation where you've created a great storm about what, in a sense, looked at on one level as just an inefficiency in terms of sending photos down to London from Scotland, which you concentrated on as a cause célèbre. There's another case where MI5 consciously, and they have control of mainland anti-IRA operations at that point, as you know, because you were working in the relevant sections at the time, they consciously, not through incompetence, but consciously suppressed from the public domain for 33 days footage of those people carrying out the first bombing, and of course it didn't stop them trying to carry out a second. So what I find difficult to credit is that one case which is incompetence gets all over, published all over the media. Another case where I think MI5 have questions to answer, I think probably about foreknowledge and matters like that. It is mentioned in your book story, and it's just to say, well, not necessarily to blame the Metropolitan Police Special Branch, you know, maybe after the event, but their point is that the information was suppressed and that they had not seen it. And that the minute it was seen, I mean, I've been told by people who knew Patrick Hayes, that the minute, within about 2 minutes of that film footage being shown on breakfast television, you know, loads of people ringing around each other saying, yeah, is this? In other words, somebody who's instantly recognisable to the police. And much as I have problems with the police, I don't really think that, in general, anti-terrorist police officers, if they'd seen that film before, would have not acted on it. MI5, the unit that you were working in, decided to suppress it for some reason, and I think it's very interesting that we're having today about that. Another thing that I was saying is there are a couple of things which don't appear in your revelations. I'm interested you say that there was a chapter on Roger Windsor that was taken out, because of course there's nothing about the miners' strike in your book. The one mention I can see about Roger Windsor, by the way, for those who don't know, is alleged by people to be an MI5 agent inside the National Union of Mine Workers. And if you want to take the opportunity to clarify whether he was or he wasn't today, I'd be very interested, because Stella Remington, the then head of MI5, has denied he was an agent. The one thing I've seen about Roger Windsor, interestingly, written by you, was something that says, and this is after you've left the service, so I'm intrigued about how you could have got further information to write a chapter, says, referred to Rupert Elson, ex-Conservative MP, who claimed in a newspaper article that they had to pay out a course settlement on, that you had confirmed that Roger Windsor was an MI5 agent, and you said of this, very nobly for somebody who's seen all our files, you said of this, I don't really know anything more about that than I've read in the newspapers, but I certainly didn't say that to him. So, at that point, you seem to be denying that Roger Windsor was an agent of influence, and well, it'd be interesting to see what you would have said in your chapter. The other thing that I would mention very quickly is that one of the major operations which has been carried out over the last few years by the British Secret State has been the attempt to undermine the Harold Wilson Labour governments of the 64 to 70, 74 to 76, and when he resigned, he said people were conspiring against him. and Stephen Donald and Robin Ramsey of Lobster Magazine, with a very interesting book called Smear on it. Interesting to me, but apparently not to you, because again, I'm trying to find the exact reference, but I presume you won't deny it. You said that the Wilson plot was a load of fantasy, Peter Wright made it all up, when he didn't. And not only that, I like Stephen Donald much, not only that, he had the cheeky one, I call it that, in animation book, to actually quote Stephen Donald on how MI6 was influencing the media in the 1970s. They were extremely active. Well, they were, but they weren't the only people who were active. MI5 were. So, in initial conclusion, because I might well hopefully make more points later on, my problem is with your revelations or such is that you've got different versions of different stories. There are some things that you should have told us about that you haven't. Like I'd like to know who the assets are, not just who the 25 assets within the Socialist Workers' Party were. I'd like to know, given that they were drastically reduced, what the names are of those who were left, and have those people, what role they played in their recent politics, including, for example, the fact that the SWP have made a turn towards political alliance with sections of the Muslim community, which is a political point of view, which is, that's one thing. But it's interesting that that suits the agenda of MI5. And it seems to me that if people were left in the SWP, even from 2 or 3, then those people will presumably be at a high level. And or indeed, is your knowledge of who those people are, is that why the SWP are inviting you to so many conferences? So in conclusion, I would say a lot of your stories don't quite add up, and whatever else you are, I do not think you are a civil libertarian.
But I hope that what I talk about is of more interest, that we should be in fact united now to repel the forces of darkness, where they have led to the death of 100,000 people in Iraq, 1 million people under the sanctions regime in Iraq. The fact that there are 2 Palestinians rotting in prison because MI5 would not let them see evidence of their trial and their innocence. They are people I have spoken out for and stuck my neck out for. I've also accused Mossad, one of the most notorious services in the world, of trying to bomb its own embassy in an effort to get further security. If I was in the business of working for services, I don't think I would be doing that. And to deal with the point specifically, say the problems we have in this country are problems of libel. To do with Jack Jones, I learned about that in the service. I was told by somebody I thought to be very reliable that he was an agent of the KGB. As our investigations went on outside the service, we were told that he had been an agent of the KGB. He had been given away our defence secrets. And he's giving our secrets to an enemy power. That makes us weaker than those countries. I personally don't want to live under a regime of the Soviet Union. I would imagine many other people here would not wish to either, particularly if they were Trotskyists and anarchists. So that is why I speak out about things like that. But as a result of our inquiries, we found that actually Jones was in fact an agent of MI5. We believe he was a double agent. But again, we were not allowed to put that in the book because of the laws of libel in this country. But we did try to get it in, and we may get it in subsequent editions. The issue of class war. Yes, I was a desk officer against class war. The only resources we had against class war were 2 agents. And here, again, I can dissolve your information, Larry. One agent was called 2579, and he was an unstable drunk. And I wondered why MI5 was paying money to this guy to give us very little information of any interest. There was another agent, though, codenamed M2580, who is the one we are talking about. And he was. We did think he had gone native. I debriefed him, as the book says, one morning in the Barbican, about 10 o'clock. We met him, and he used to regale us with stories of beating up uniformed bobbies and stuff like that, to try and increase anarchist coverage, we would say to us. He also told us that he was responsible for running class war. Now, that's why we put these things in the book. I've since had a conversation tonight with a member of class war, or a former member of class war, and he tells me that's not the case. But I'm obviously prepared to put that in the book as well.